I watched my wife blow out 36 candles on her birthday cake at 7:43 p.m. on March 15th, 2025, surrounded by both our families, exactly 4 minutes before I handed her divorce papers and played a 6-month video compilation of her fucking my best friend, Kevin, on our living room TV. If you've got some time and maybe something strong to drink, settle in. This one's a ride. So why did I wait 10 months to destroy her? Why plan it down to the minute, coordinate it for her birthday party with both our parents watching, and document every second of her affair like I was preparing for trial? Because 18 months earlier, I was lying in a hospital bed, getting poisoned with chemotherapy to kill the stage 3 cancer trying to kill me, and she promised she'd be there through all of it, in sickness and in health, right? Turns out she meant it. She was there through my sickness. She just decided to be there with someone else. This is the story of how I survived cancer twice, once in my body and once in my marriage. June 14th, 2023. That's the day everything changed. I was 38 years old, worked as a senior software engineer from home, had a wife I'd been married to for 12 years, 2 kids I adored, and a routine colonoscopy that was supposed to be nothing. Just a standard screening because I'd turned 38 and my doctor was thorough. The kind of thing you schedule on a Tuesday morning. Figure you'll be back at your desk by noon, maybe a little groggy, but fine. I remember the waiting room before the procedure, those terrible watercolor paintings on the wall that are supposed to be calming. Sarah had offered to come, but I'd told her not to bother. It's routine, I'd said. No point in both of us wasting the morning. She'd kissed me goodbye at home, told me to text her when it was done. I remember that kiss. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have someone who'd been with me for 12 years and still kiss me like that on a random Tuesday. After the procedure, I woke up in recovery feeling fine. A little out of it from the anesthesia, but fine. The nurse gave me crackers and ginger ale. I was checking my phone, reading work emails, when Dr. Martinez walked in. You know how you can tell something's wrong by the way someone walks into a room? Dr. Martinez was a good doctor. The kind who usually came in smiling, making small talk about the Astros or asking about my kids. Not this time. He had this look on his face, practiced but not perfect. The one doctors use when they're about to ruin your life, but trying not to terrify you immediately. "David," he said, sitting down in the chair next to my bed. Not standing, sitting. That should have been my first clue. "We found something." Just like that. No preamble. No gentle lead-in. "A mass in your descending colon, about 3 centimeters. We biopsied it during the procedure, but I need you to come back tomorrow with your wife so we can discuss next steps and treatment options." I must have stared at him for a solid 10 seconds before I could form words. Treatment options? We'll know more after the pathology comes back, but based on what I saw, we're looking at something that will require aggressive intervention. That's doctor speak for cancer. I knew it even before he said it. I called Sarah from the recovery room. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. "Hey, babe," she answered, cheerful. "How'd it go?" "I need you to come get me," I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. "And we have to come back tomorrow. They found something." There was a pause. Then, "What do you mean they found something?" "I'll explain when you get here." She was there in 20 minutes. I walked out to the waiting room, still in my hospital gown. I'd forgotten to change back into my clothes. That's how out of it I was. And she stood up so fast, she knocked over her coffee. It splashed across the waiting room floor, brown liquid spreading across the linoleum, and neither of us moved to clean it up. I told her. Right there, with other patients and families around us, I told her what Dr. Martinez had said. She grabbed my hand. God, I remember how tightly she held my hand. Like, if she just squeezed hard enough, she could keep me from slipping away. And she said, "Whatever it is, we'll fight it together. You hear me? Together." I wanted to believe her. I did believe her. The next day, we sat in Dr. Martinez's office with our hands clasped on his desk, like we were praying. Maybe we were. He pulled up the biopsy results on his computer screen, turned the monitor so we could see it, as if we could understand any of the medical jargon. "Stage 3 colorectal cancer," he said. "Direct, clinical. It's aggressive and it's spread to at least 2 lymph nodes. We need to start treatment immediately." Sarah made this sound. Not quite a gasp, not quite a sob. Something in between. Her grip on my hand went from tight to crushing. Dr. Martinez walked us through the plan. FOLFOX chemotherapy, fluorouracil, leucovorin, and oxaliplatin every 2 weeks for 8 rounds. Radiation therapy concurrent with the last few rounds. Then surgery to remove the tumor and affected lymph nodes. Then more chemo. Total timeline, about 18 months, maybe longer, depending on how my body responded. The side effects list was biblical. Nausea, fatigue, neuropathy, hair loss, weight loss, mouth sores, increased risk of infection, possible infertility, cognitive impairment, they call it chemo brain, and on and on. What are the odds? I asked. The only question that really mattered. Dr. Martinez hesitated. I appreciated that he didn't try to sugarcoat it. 5-year survival rate for stage 3 is approximately 60 to 70%. But you're young, otherwise healthy. That works in your favor. 60 to 70%, which meant 30 to 40% chance I'd be dead in 5 years. Sarah was crying, silent tears streaming down her face, no sound. I couldn't cry. I was too numb, too shocked. I just sat there doing the math in my head. Emma was 9, Lucas was 7. If I died in 5 years, Emma would be 14. Lucas would be 12. They'd grow up without me. They'd graduate high school without me, get married without me, have kids I'd never meet. That's when it hit me, really hit me. I might die. This wasn't theoretical. I might actually die. The drive home was silent. Sarah drove because I couldn't trust my hands to stay steady. We pulled into our driveway. This normal suburban house in a normal suburban neighborhood where we'd lived for 8 years, where Emma had learned to ride her bike, where Lucas had his 7th birthday party 3 months ago, and everything looked exactly the same, but everything had changed. How do we tell them? Sarah asked, still gripping the steering wheel even though the car was off. I don't know. We sat there for maybe 20 minutes. Finally, Sarah said, we tell them the truth, that Daddy's sick, but the doctors are going to help him get better. We don't scare them, but we don't lie. That night, we sat Emma and Lucas down at the kitchen table, the same table where we ate dinner every night, where Lucas did his homework, where Emma practiced her art. Sarah was the one who told them. I couldn't get the words out. Daddy has to go to the doctor a lot for the next year or so, she said, keeping her voice steady in a way I couldn't have managed. He has something called cancer, which means some cells in his body aren't working right, but the doctors have medicine that can fix it. Emma's eyes went wide. Is Daddy going to die? Sarah didn't hesitate. No, baby. Daddy's going to fight this and get better. I wanted that to be true so badly I ached with it. Lucas climbed into my lap and wrapped his arms around my neck. Does it hurt? He asked. Not yet, I said. The first honest thing I'd said since the diagnosis. But it might for a while. But then I'll get better. After we put them to bed, both of them wanted to sleep in Emma's room together that night, needed the comfort of each other. Sarah and I stood in our bedroom and just held each other. I finally cried. Big, ugly, gasping sobs that I'd been holding back for 2 days. Sarah held me and whispered all the right things. We'll get through this. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You're going to beat this. Later that night, while I was in the bathroom, I heard her phone buzz. I didn't think anything of it then, just Sarah probably texting her mom or her sister, telling them the news. When I came back to bed, she was on Instagram, posting a photo of our hands intertwined. The caption, standing by my warrior husband. Together, we'll fight this battle. Cancer sucks. In sickness and in health, you're stronger together. I saw it pop up on my own phone a moment later. The post already had 30 likes. Sarah's mom had commented, "Praying for you both." I looked at Sarah. "You didn't have to post that." "I wanted to," she said, snuggling closer to me. "I want everyone to know how strong you are, how strong we are." I kissed the top of her head, breathed in the scent of her shampoo, coconut and vanilla, the same kind she'd used for years. "I love you. I love you too. We got this." Lying there in the dark, holding my wife, I thought I was the luckiest dying man in the world. I had someone who loved me enough to post about it on Instagram, to tell the world she was standing by me. I had no idea that 6 days later, she'd start sleeping with someone else. The first few months were hell. Chemo started June 20th, 2023. They pump you full of poison that's supposed to kill cancer faster than it kills you, and let me tell you, it's a close race. I was nauseous constantly, lost 40 pounds in 2 months, and my hair fell out in clumps in the shower. Sarah was there for the first session. She took pictures, for awareness, she said, and held my hand while the drugs dripped into my port. She even brought me those protein shakes I hated but needed. That's when Kevin showed up. "This is my coworker Kevin," Sarah said at my second chemo appointment. "He's been through this with his uncle, offered to help out." Kevin was 34, worked as an ER nurse at St. Luke's with Sarah, and had this easy smile that made everyone like him immediately. He showed up with better protein shakes than Sarah's, gave me a fist bump, carefully because my immune system was shot, and said, "You got this, brother. Just take it one day at a time." I was grateful. That's the part that kills me now. I was actually grateful this guy was helping my family. By August, I was barely hanging on. The chemo was working, tumor markers were dropping, but I was a shell of myself. Couldn't work, could barely stay awake for more than a few hours at a time. Sarah suggested I move to the guest room so her nurse schedule wouldn't disturb my sleep. Made perfect sense. She was working extra shifts to cover medical bills, coming home late, exhausted. I'd hear her moving around downstairs at night and think, "God, she's so good to me." Kevin kept coming around, groceries, checking on me, playing with the kids in the backyard while I slept through my exhaustion. Emma mentioned it once. "Kevin was here yesterday when you were sleeping, Dad." And I remember thinking how lucky we were to have support. Looking back, I can't believe I was that stupid. But when you're fighting for your life, you don't have energy left over for suspicion. February the 2nd, 2024, 8 months into treatment. I was home alone a lot by then, weak and recovering between chemo rounds. I'd been having night sweats, heart palpitations, normal for chemo, but scary when you're alone. Dr. Martinez suggested I might want some monitoring at home, just to be safe. So I ordered a baby monitor system on Amazon, WiseCam V3, motion-activated cloud storage. Sarah actually helped me set them up. One in the bedroom, one in the living room. "That's smart, babe," she said, adjusting the angle on the bedroom camera. "I worry about you when I'm at work." The irony makes me want to laugh now. She helped me install the cameras that would destroy her. March 28th, 2024, best day of my life. Dr. Martinez called me into his office, Emma and Lucas bouncing in their chairs beside me, Sarah holding my hand, and he said the words I'd been praying for. "David, you're in remission." We cried, all of us. We went home and ordered pizza and ate ice cream straight from the carton. Sarah kept saying, "We did it. We beat it together." The kids made me a banner that said, "Dad's a cancer warrior," with Emma's careful art and Lucas's messy handwriting. I felt like I'd been given my life back. That night, I couldn't sleep. Too wired, too happy, too everything. I pulled up the Nanny Cam app just to watch the footage from earlier, to see Emma's face when she heard the news. I scrolled back through the recordings, smiling at my daughter's joy. Then I saw something that didn't make sense. Timestamp, March 25th, 1:47 a.m. Kevin's car in our driveway. Kevin leaving our house at almost 2 in the morning on a Tuesday. Sarah's shift that week ended at 11. I stared at my phone for probably 10 minutes. There had to be an explanation. Maybe he'd come by to drop something off. Maybe there was an emergency. Maybe I was misunderstanding the timestamp. I checked the living room camera from that night. Kevin and Sarah on our couch, sitting close. Too close. Sarah's hand on his leg. Both of them with wine glasses, laughing at something. The timestamp said 11:43 p.m. They were there for over 2 hours. While I was asleep upstairs in the guest room, recovering from treatment that was supposed to save my life, my wife was downstairs with Kevin. I felt nauseous, and this time it had nothing to do with chemo. I didn't confront her, not then. Something in me, the analytical part, the software engineer part that solves problems methodically, kicked in. I needed more information. I needed to know what I was dealing with before I acted. The next 3 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. Every day while Sarah was at work and the kids were at school, I reviewed footage. I ordered more cameras, hidden ones this time. One in the hallway, one in my home office, one in our bedroom, tucked inside a smoke detector. I created a spreadsheet. Dates, times, duration. Kevin visited 2 to 3 times a week, always when I had doctor appointments or physical therapy. Always when the house was empty except for him and Sarah, and they were smart about it. No kissing on the living room camera, nothing obvious. They'd learned to be careful. But I was more careful. April 20th, 2024. I'll never forget that date. I reviewed footage from April 18th, the day I'd had a PT appointment for my post-surgery recovery. I almost didn't check the bedroom camera. Almost. They were in my bed, on my side of the bed. Sarah was wearing the robe I'd bought her for our anniversary, and I could hear them. The audio was crystal clear. Afterward, when they were just lying there, Sarah said something I'll never unhear. "He's so weak now. I need a real man." Kevin laughed, actually laughed. "When this is over, we can finally be together." Sarah: "I know I should feel guilty, but I just feel free, like I can breathe when he's not here." I watched that clip sitting in my home office at 2 in the morning. I didn't make a sound. Couldn't. My kids were sleeping down the hall. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set down my phone. Then I kept digging. Text recovery software on our old shared phone bills, credit card statements, cloud storage backups. I found everything, messages dating back to before my diagnosis. The affair didn't start during my treatment. It started 6 days after I was diagnosed, June 20th, 2023, the same day as my first chemo session. "He's really out of it today," Sarah had texted Kevin from the chemo ward. "We're safe tonight." Kevin had responded during my surgery, "Thinking of you, wish I could be there, and in you." I counted 27 documented instances in our home. God knows how many elsewhere. Kevin had attended 4 of my chemo sessions. I remembered him there, in the ward, giving me that fist bump, saying, "You got this, brother," while he was actively sleeping with my wife. On May 1st, 2024, I sat in my backyard at 3 in the morning and finally let myself break. I'd held it together through diagnosis, through 8 rounds of poison, through surgery, through thinking I might die. But this broke me. I cried for the first time since Dr. Martinez said the word cancer. Then I made a decision. I could confront them tomorrow, scream, cry, throw Kevin out, divorce Sarah immediately. But that's what the old me would have done. The naive, conflict-avoiding, too trusting David who let this happen in the first place. Cancer had taught me patience. It taught me that sometimes survival means enduring pain you can't fight yet, gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to strike. I'd been patient through 8 chemo sessions. I could be patient through this. That night, Sarah asked if I was okay, said I seemed distant. I told her I was just tired, post-treatment fatigue. She kissed my forehead and said, "I'm so proud of you, babe. You beat cancer." I thought about the videos. I thought about Kevin. I thought about her promise, in sickness and in health. And I smiled and said, "I couldn't have done it without you." Because I'd decided something sitting in that backyard. If she could lie for 2 years, I could lie for a few months. Long enough to make sure when this exploded, I'd be standing and she'd be in ruins. The next day I called divorce attorneys, 3 of them. Consultations are confidential, so Sarah would never know. The third one, Tom Brennan, was perfect. 25 years of experience, known for protecting betrayed spouses, and he had this cold, calculating way of talking that I needed. I walked into his office with a laptop full of evidence. 45 minutes of compiled footage, text screenshots, credit card statements showing hotels and restaurants. Tom watched some of it, looked at me and said, "With this evidence, we can crucify her in custody court." "How long?" I asked. 6 to 8 months of documentation. Make it airtight. Texas is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery absolutely affects custody decisions. We need to prove she prioritized this affair over your children. I started documenting everything, every school event I attended that Sarah missed, every homework session I handled, every doctor appointment for the kids, every soccer game, every art show. I kept a daily parenting journal, built a case that I was the stable, present parent. Meanwhile, I researched St. Luke's Medical Center's Code of Conduct. Section 4.7, staff relationships must not interfere with patient care or professional judgment. Section 8.2, patient confidentiality extends to patient family members. Sarah had shared my medical schedule with Kevin, discussed my condition in romantic contexts, used my illness as cover for their affair. That was more than infidelity. That was a violation of professional ethics. I filed everything away, didn't act on it, not yet. In July, Sarah mentioned wanting a big birthday party for her 36th. "A milestone," she said. "Let's invite everyone. Make it special. I encouraged her, helped her plan it, suggested we host it at our house. Sarah was thrilled. The party was set for March 15th, 2025, 10 months away. I had work to do. Those 10 months were the strangest of my life. I had to act normal while planning my wife's destruction. We went to marriage therapy, her idea to process the cancer trauma together. In sessions, she performed beautifully, talked about how grateful she was that I survived, how our marriage was stronger than ever. I performed too, talked about how Sarah's support saved me. Our therapist ate it up. At home, Sarah initiated sex more. Guilt, probably, or covering her tracks. I participated, had to maintain the cover. Each time felt like a violation, but I compartmentalized. I'd gotten good at that. Kevin still came around occasionally, always as the casual family friend. I was polite, shook his hand, thanked him for his support during treatment. "Man, you really beat it," he said to me in January 2025, 6 months cancer-free. "You're inspiring." I smiled. "Thanks, brother." In my head, I'm going to destroy you in 8 weeks. By March 1st, I had everything ready. Divorce papers filed but not served. Edited video compilation, 10 minutes of the most damning footage, chronological order, time-stamped. USB drives with full evidence for both sets of parents. Resignation letter for Sarah to sign regarding custody. I tested the living room projector, told Sarah it was for a birthday slideshow. She helped me set it up, excited to see family photos. The irony was delicious. March 14th, 2025. The night before. I sat in my home office, the same office where I'd watched my wife betray me hundreds of times on camera, and I reviewed the plan one final time. Tomorrow, Sarah would turn 36 surrounded by everyone who loved her. She'd blow out candles and make a wish. And then, I'd give her a gift she'd never forget. I'd survived cancer. I'd survived betrayal. Tomorrow, I'd find out if I could survive revenge. The party started at 3 p.m. Guests arrived steadily. Sarah's parents, Michael and Jennifer, my parents, Robert and Patricia, Sarah's sister, close friends. About 30 people total. Sarah looked beautiful. New dress, makeup done perfectly, glowing with happiness. "Thank you for making this special, babe," she said, kissing my cheek. "I love you." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," I said. True, just not how she thought. Kevin arrived at 6:15, brought expensive wine, hugged Sarah, appropriate length, they were practiced at this, and shook my hand. "Big 36, he said to Sarah. "You look amazing." I watched them, no obvious tells. They'd gotten good at hiding it. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. Dinner was catered Italian, Sarah's favorite. Conversation flowed. Everyone talked about my miracle recovery, about future plans, about how lucky we were. Sarah's mom, Jennifer, stood up with her wine glass. "A toast," she said, "to my incredible daughter who held our family together through the hardest year of our lives." Everyone drank. I raised my glass too, made eye contact with Sarah across the table. She smiled at me, eyes shining. The cake came out at 7:38 p.m., 36 candles. We sang happy birthday. Sarah closed her eyes to make her wish, then blew them all out in one breath. "I have everything I want right here," she said, looking around at everyone. "Actually," I said, standing up, "I have a surprise for you. A special slideshow." Sarah's face lit up. "Aw, babe, you didn't have to." I dimmed the lights and turned on the projector. The screen flickered to life. "I made a video," I said, "a year in review of sorts." The title card appeared, Sarah and David, a love story. The first 2 minutes were exactly what everyone expected. Wedding photos, Emma and Lucas being born, happy family moments, Christmas mornings, beach vacations. Sarah was tearing up, smiling at me. Then the tone shifted. Title card, and now, the past 2 years. Footage of my cancer diagnosis appointment, photos from chemo, me bald, gaunt, sick, radiation treatment, surgery scars. Sarah's smile faltered. "David, this is getting kinda dark for a birthday party." "Just wait," I said. "It gets better." The screen went black. Then, timestamp, June 20th, 2023, 6 days after diagnosis. Footage from our living room camera, Sarah and Kevin, kissing. The room went silent. Sarah stood up. "David, what the fuck?" Sit down, Sarah, I said. My voice was calm, eerily calm. We're not done. Next clip. Timestamp. August 15th, 2023, during David's hospitalization. Audio of that conversation. Sarah's voice. I know I should feel guilty, but I just feel free, like I can breathe when he's not here. Sarah's mom. Jennifer gasped. Kevin was already moving toward the door. Kevin, I said, leave now and I send everything to Lisa. Stay, and maybe we handle this like adults. Kevin froze. Stayed. Sarah was shaking. You recorded me? No, I said. I recorded home security footage. You chose to perform. The video kept playing, a montage of 10 clips over 5 minutes, different dates, different times, all throughout my cancer treatment, audio of them mocking me, planning their future, complaining about having to keep up appearances. The worst clip. Them in our bedroom, my side of the bed. Sarah wearing my anniversary gift to her. Emma started crying. She was 10 now, old enough to understand what she was seeing. Lucas looked confused, scared. Daddy? Emma said. What is this? My dad Robert's face was stone. My mother Patricia looked like she wanted to kill someone. Sarah's parents sat frozen in shock. Friends were leaving, just getting up and walking out without a word. The video ended. I turned the lights back up. Sarah was pale, shaking. Kevin looked like he might throw up. The room smelled like fear and shock and the sickly sweet scent of birthday cake nobody was going to eat. I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket. Happy birthday, Sarah, I said, walking over to her. Divorce papers. I handed them to her. Her hands were trembling so badly she almost dropped them. You humiliated me in front of my family, she screamed. I documented what you did, I said. You humiliated yourself. Sarah's dad, Michael, found his voice. Sarah, is this real? All of it? Sarah was crying now. He was sick. I was lonely. I needed... My mother cut her off. My son almost died and you needed what? Kevin's phone rang. His wife, Lisa. I'd texted her 10 minutes ago with a preview of what was about to go down. Gave her the courtesy I never got. Kevin left. Sarah tried to follow him. Let him go, I said. He's not your problem anymore. My parents took Emma and Lucas outside to the backyard. I could hear my son crying. That sound nearly broke me, but I held it together. I pulled out 3 more USB drives, handed one to Sarah's parents, one to mine, one to Sarah. Full evidence, I said. Timestamps, everything, for your lawyers. Sarah grabbed my arm. The kids, David. Think about the kids. I did, I said. That's why I'm getting primary custody. I handed her a second document. Proposed custody arrangement. 80-20 split in my favor. I'll fight this, she said. With what? I asked. Your nursing salary? Oh, wait. She went pale. What does that mean? You'll find out Monday when HR gets their copy. Code of conduct violations, sharing patient family information, compromising professional judgment. Both you and Kevin. Enjoy unemployment. The guests left within 30 minutes. Only our parents stayed, shell-shocked and trying to process. I found Emma and Lucas in the backyard. Emma was holding her little brother, both of them crying. I knelt down in front of them. This was the part I dreaded most. Mommy and Daddy are getting divorced, I said. It's not your fault. You'll live with me most of the time and visit Mom regularly. I promise you'll be okay. Emma, perceptive as always, said, Is that why Kevin was here so much? Yes. I didn't like him anyway, she said, trying to be brave. Lucas hugged me. Are you okay, Dad? I was breaking inside, but I said, I will be, buddy. Through the window, I could see Sarah at the dining table, divorce papers in front of her, birthday cake uneaten, candles melted into shapeless wax. Her family surrounded her, but she looked completely alone. This morning, she'd woken up as a wife, mother, respected ICU nurse, beloved daughter. Now she was none of those things in the way she'd been before. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, no anger, just empty. By 9:30 p.m., everyone was gone except Sarah. We stood in the kitchen, 10 feet apart. Our entire marriage collapsed in the space between us. Was it worth it? She asked. Destroying me like that? I thought about the answer, really thought about it. Ask me in a year, I said. She left, went to her sister's house. I cleaned up the party debris alone, threw away the cake, took down the decorations, found a birthday candle that had rolled under the couch and sat there staring at it for probably 20 minutes. I'd won. I'd executed the perfect revenge. So, why did I feel like I'd lost something too? The fallout was immediate and brutal. Monday morning, my lawyer sent the evidence package to St. Luke's HR and Ethics Board. By Tuesday afternoon, both Sarah and Kevin were suspended pending investigation. The investigation took less than 2 weeks. They found exactly what I knew they'd find: code of conduct violations. Sarah had shared my medical information and schedule with Kevin in the context of their romantic relationship. They'd met on hospital property multiple times. Their relationship had compromised professional judgment and patient care standards. March 28th, exactly 1 year after my remission announcement, they were both terminated for cause. Sarah lost a $76,000 a year salary, lost health insurance, lost her 401k matching, got reported to the Texas Board of Nursing. Her license wasn't revoked, but she got a formal reprimand on her permanent record. She'd never work at a major hospital again. Kevin's wife Lisa filed for divorce the same week, got primary custody of their 2 kids. Kevin's parents, conservative and religious, disowned him. He ended up moving to San Antonio, taking a job at a smaller clinic for $30,000 less than what he'd been making. Our friend group imploded. Every single couple we knew sided with me. The evidence was too clear. Some of them quietly told me they'd suspected something, but hadn't wanted to say anything while I was sick. That hurt almost as much as the affair itself. Sarah lost friends she'd had for a decade, stopped going to our neighborhood grocery store because people whispered, deleted all her social media after someone screenshot her old cancer wife Instagram posts and shared them mockingly. Emma got bullied at school briefly. Some kid called her the cheater's daughter. I talked to the school counselor, got it handled, but the damage was done. The divorce settlement came through on May 10th. Assets split 65-35 in my favor. I kept the house. The kids needed stability. Got $85,000 in savings. Sarah got $40,000. She was responsible for the $18,000 secret credit card debt I'd found. Custody. I got primary, 80-20 split. Sarah got every other weekend plus 1 weeknight dinner. She had to pay me $400 a month in child support. Sarah moved to a small apartment, took a job at an urgent care clinic for $52,000 a year, started living paycheck to paycheck. I destroyed her professionally, financially, and socially, exactly as planned. So, why wasn't I happy about it? Week 6 after the party, Sarah stopped showing up for visitation. Her mom called me, said Sarah wasn't leaving her bed. Week 8, she was hospitalized for severe anxiety, chest pains, thought she was having a heart attack. Major depressive episode, started on medication. Week 10, she showed up drunk for visitation. I documented it, revoked that weekend's custody. My dad called me around that time. "Did you go too far?" he asked. I'd been waiting for someone to ask me that. "I don't know," I said honestly. "You were right to leave her," he said. "Right to expose her. But that party, son, you hurt your kids to hurt her." I was crying by then. "I know. What are you going to do about it?" "I can't take it back." "No," he agreed. "But you can make sure the rest of this is about healing, not hurting." He was right. I started going to therapy twice a week, processing the cancer trauma, the betrayal trauma, the revenge. My therapist, Dr. Chen, didn't pull punches. "You survived cancer by accepting things you couldn't control," she said. But revenge was about controlling everything. That's the opposite of healing. I had a breakthrough one session in July. I was so angry about being powerless when I was sick that I overcorrected. I wielded power like a weapon. Emma was struggling too. Her therapist showed me a drawing she'd made. Stick figure mom alone in a dark house. Stick figure kids in a bright house with dad. Caption, "I love mommy, but she's in the dark now." I drove home from that appointment and sat in my car for an hour. Sarah had deserved consequences. She deserved to lose my trust, our marriage, maybe even some custody. But did she deserve to have her entire life burned to ash? Did I need to destroy her publicly? Could I have just divorced her quietly? The answer was yes, I could have. The outcome would have been the same: divorce, custody, asset split. But I'd wanted revenge. I'd wanted her to hurt the way I'd hurt, and I'd enjoyed it. That was the ugly truth I had to face. I started working on co-parenting, actually working on it. Sarah completed her outpatient program, stabilized on medication, got a 2-bedroom apartment, decorated the kids' room. By August, I agreed to unsupervised visits again. "Thank you for this," she said when I dropped the kids off the first time. "They need their mother," I said. "Just be the mother they need." She nodded. She looked smaller somehow. Older. The confident, charming Sarah I'd married was gone. But maybe someone more honest was emerging. I went back to my cancer support group in August. Hadn't been since before the divorce. That's where I reconnected with Rebecca. She was 37, breast cancer survivor, single mom of 1. We'd met briefly during treatment, but she'd been going through her own hell. We got coffee after a meeting, talked about scans, recurrence fears, survival. "I heard about your divorce," she said, not judging, just acknowledging. "Big party revelation," I admitted. "I'm not proud of how I handled it." Did she deserve consequences? Yes. Did I need to destroy her publicly? Probably not. She appreciated the honesty. We started dating in September, took it slow. Both of us understood trauma takes time to heal. I introduced her to Emma and Lucas in October, casual, low pressure. Rebecca was great with them. Talked to Emma about art, cheered for Lucas at soccer. The kids liked her. "She's better than Kevin," Emma said afterward, first time she joked about any of it. Rebecca and I said, "I love you" in December. I meant it. She said, "I love you too, and I love who you're becoming." Not who I was becoming. That distinction mattered. I ran into Lisa, Kevin's ex-wife, at the grocery store in October, braced myself for her anger. Instead, she approached me and said, "I wanted to thank you." For what? For showing me who Kevin really was. I suspected for years. You gave me proof to leave. "I heard about the hospital stay," I said. "I'm so sorry." "I'm okay now," she said. Therapy, medication. Better than I was in that marriage. My kids are better off too, so thank you. She walked away. I stood in the frozen foods aisle holding a bag of peas, processing unexpected forgiveness. That night, I wrote a letter to Sarah. Never sent it, just needed to write it. "I don't regret leaving you. I regret the cruelty of how I did it. The kids didn't need to see that. You didn't need to be destroyed, just divorced. I was in so much pain, I wanted you to hurt worse. That's not who I want to be." I showed it to Dr. Chen the next session. "Do you want to send it?" she asked. "No," I said. "It's not for her. It's for me." I needed to admit it. It's January 2026 now, 10 months since the birthday party. I'm cancer-free, 19 months in remission. Emma and Lucas are doing better. Still in therapy, but better. Sarah has them every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. She hasn't missed one in 3 months. The kids say she's dating someone. Mom's friend Mike seems nice, Lucas mentioned last week. I was relieved, not jealous. She deserves to rebuild too. Rebecca and I are serious, talking about the future, but no rush. We've both survived worse than a slow courtship. I volunteer at the cancer center now, visit the chemo ward weekly, mentor newly diagnosed patients, try to help them avoid my mistakes. Focus on getting healthy first, I tell them. Everything else can wait. Sarah texted me once in December, "I know you'll never forgive me, but I'm sorry for what I put you through, especially during chemo." I didn't respond, but I saved the message. Last night I sat in my backyard, same chair where I planned the revenge 13 months ago, same space where I'd broken down watching those videos. Emma called from the window. "Dad, Rebecca's here." I stood up, looked back at the yard one last time. All those memories, all that pain, all that rage that had driven me to plan Sarah's destruction down to the minute. I don't regret surviving cancer, don't regret leaving Sarah, do regret the cruelty, but I can live with it because I'm here, alive, cancer-free, loved, healing, and that's enough. Someone asked me once if I'd do it all again, the revenge, the birthday reveal, all of it. I said, I don't know, because the truth is, that version of me, broken and betrayed and dying to feel powerful again, he would do it exactly the same. But this version of me, the one who's learned that surviving isn't the same as winning, he'd walk away quieter, hurt fewer people, protect his kids more. She promised in sickness and in health. She broke that promise when I needed her most, but I promised myself I'd never let anyone hurt me like that again. And I kept it, at a cost I'm still paying. I'm cancer-free, I'm divorced, I'm healing. My kids are okay. I'm in love with someone who knows my scars and loves me anyway. And Sarah? She's alive, working, rebuilding. We're both surviving our own versions of hell. Is that closure? I don't know. But it's something. And after everything, the cancer, the betrayal, the revenge, the fallout, something is enough. For now, it's enough.